What is going on, everyone? How are we? Let's get the mic over here. Da, da, da. Everything look okay? I think it does. Let's get to this, the chat thing. Hello, Savannah, Georgia. I'm so jealous. Hey, Darth. You really have no life. Danny W., how are you? Boston. We got a lot of people in here already. What we got? 125 already. Do I know anyone in Delaware? 80 degrees, 9% humidity. I don't think he lives there anymore. I have a friend that lived in, he's an army guy I knew. I wouldn't say friend, but we knew each other. But he lived in Middletown, I believe, in Delaware. Middletown, yeah. Anyway, it's the northern part. But his parents got older and they had a big piece of property on Kent Island, which is in Maryland, right across the border, I guess. And I know he was moving in with them, and I think he just took over their house after they passed and lives on the island now. Edwards Air Force Base, Boise. Hey, Clark Smith, how are you? Clark Smith Adventures. You sound younger than you look. Absolutely, I get that all the time. That is probably one of the most common things people say about me. I thought you were going to be this little guy and 25 years old. You don't travel as much as I do and be 25, or as much as I have. But that's the goal. Get old. I often forget that I am a little bit older than, that I'm in past my 30s, actually. That shocks me sometimes. I often forget. I think having a level of immaturity helps out. Is my audio doing okay? I didn't bring my phone over here. Audio. Let me get my phone. Henderson, Nevada. How you doing, Thomas? Brenda Blaine. Sorry, gonna check my audio on here real quick. Yep, looks like I sound pretty good. I sound fabulous. I am, what am I, 56? 56? Something like that. The thrill of having a birthday usually ends after you're 35, I think. Actually, the one that bothered me, hey, Dregs, how are you? Leavenworth. Haven't been there in a long time. I forgot where I was going with something, but Texas. Hello, sunshine. What makes me dislike Columbus, Georgia? Well, when it's just, I was at Fort Benning, which is, I don't know, it's got some new name now, but that's where they have Ranger School, Airborne School, and Infantry. Um, and Columbus is where you had to go, and it just sucked. Always did. Absolutely. What answer was that? Oh, thanks for the awesome video. Sorry, I was reading two questions. I was reading two chats at one time. I'm glad you like this. The last one, the last retirement one I didn't do that well. I had planned on uploading one tomorrow for Arizona, but since the one in California didn't work out that well, I have another one that I've been working on for some time, and actually about 30 years of working on it. Uh, but that'll be up tomorrow afternoon. It is basically, why is the southern United States so different? No, I don't. I didn't mind going to basic training there. I went back there for Ranger School, and all that. But it just the town, I just never liked it. Gardnerville, Nevada. I've never heard of that one. Gardnerville. That is so. When I've never heard of something, it's kind of rare. There's a town in Nevada. Gardnerville is out. Let's see, where is this at? Oh, you got a jujitsu place in town. Oh, you're right up there by Lake Tahoe. I've never heard of Gardnerville. That is weird. Gardnerville Ranchos. Wow, it's kind of good size too. You think I'd would have heard of it? Let's see what it looks like in town. Boop, boop, boop. Yep, looks like Northern Nevada. Ooh, you got the hills in the background. Not bad. Kind of a cool looking place. All right. This is Fort Benning from 91 to 95. I was there from 85 just to 86, and then went back in 88 to go to Ranger School. And then I came back when my son got out of airborne school and all that. Went to his thing. I went there with my brother was a colonel. He's since retired. He was a colonel in the Army, and he was still in when my son got out of basic training and all that. And we went to the graduation, and it was a total VIP treatment. It was pretty funny. Daniel Young, thank you for supporting the channel. May you please give me some insight on the counties of New, or so basically upstate. 5 boroughs are getting expensive. Yeah, they are getting expensive. So it depends on what you're looking for. If you're working from home, there's a lot of easy answers, and it's basically the cheapest places you could find. There's a lot of areas in New York that aren't terribly expensive. One second. I mean, if you head on up near Albany, of course, it's going to get cold. It's going to be kind of rough, but there's a decent economy in Albany and the Troy, New York area, so that's decent. If you want to live in a beautiful place, the Finger Lakes region is absolutely beautiful up there. I'm trying to think what else. I'd stay away from Syracuse, Rochester, and definitely Buffalo. But Oneida, whatever, Rome, yeah, those are kind of iffy at best. But there's a lot of things. I really like Troy, New York right now. It's affordable. It's not terribly dangerous. They get bad winters. But if you're already living in New York, it should be no big deal. But I appreciate that. Thank you for supporting the channel. One second here. Oh, we got another one. We got a big one, huh? And no answer or no question? Benjamin Keats, I appreciate you supporting the channel. Thank you very much. So, yeah, but so every place is going to have some crime. I'm having a hard time getting over the fact that gave me that much of a super chat and you didn't ask a question. Anyway, so hey, what's up, Denzel? So the Troy area does have some crime. Is it crazy crime like Detroit, something like that? No. I mean, most places these days that are a city are going to have a certain level of crime. Let's just get the update on what Troy's got going on right now. Yeah, 51% above the national average. That's not, I mean, it sucks. Obviously, you like be 1 or 2 points above the national average, but 50%, that makes it a place not to be terribly concerned with, but if it's something that bothers you, maybe you shouldn't. When I start worrying about places when they're over 100% above the national average, okay, that's when a place I start going, maybe you shouldn't move there. Hey, we got another one. Crystal Metherson in Boise. Let's get this up here. Whoop, wrong one. Come on. Go. There it goes. Crystal, thank you for the super chat. In Boise and supporting the channel. In Boise, our house on our house hunt. Okay, Eagle seems to be really nice. Eagle is nice. The home prices here are insane. We're coming from Atlanta. It shouldn't be that bad. If you're coming from Atlanta, it's going to be higher in Idaho, but it's not going to be terrible. 3 kids still in school. Love the show. Thank you very much. So, obviously, if you come from someplace like New York City area, any place in California, you're going to look at Idaho and go, wow, these prices are low. But if you are coming from someplace like Mississippi, parts of Georgia, Alabama, you're going to be like, how do people afford this? It's weird. Um, they are up there. Idaho's gotten popular and Idaho's gotten a little expensive. 10 years ago, it would have been a different story. But yeah, matter of fact, the real estate prices are slipping everywhere right now. I was just reading about that. Did I miss one? Nope. I got to get a holder for this. Do I have one? I think I have. Ah, there he is. Boop. Darth Vader phone holder. Cool, huh? All right, let's put you right there so I can see what is going on. And I'll sit back up in my chair. All right, all right, all right. Okay. Hey, Briggs, what do you recommend? Here we go. Hey, Briggs, what do you recommend on museums teaching about space and astronomy? I've always loved that kind of stuff. I'm not really sure. Smithsonian obviously is the easy one. We got the OMSI here in Oregon, and also you have some really good ones down in Los Angeles. But I've always been a military museum guy. I'll go to that crap all the time. So I'm not the best for someone like that. If you ever do get to the Portland metro area, Evergreen Aviation, which is a giant museum of aircraft. It's got the Spruce Goose there. It's also got a water park, so you send your kids over there, and then you can go check out the museum stuff if that's what you're into. Definitely pretty. They have a space building, and they have a airplane building. I think they have another one too. They have a really cool theater. Disney World jacket? Something behind me or what? Disney World jacket. Oh, are you talking about the one today? The meme I put up? Yeah, there's at the OMSI here in Portland. We got the Columbia River going right through town. They have an old uh, submarine. I think it's from the 50s to the 60s that time, Cold War. Hey, Briggs. Boston Boy 34, thank you for supporting the channel. Hey, Briggs, hello from Boston. I was just talking about Boston and the accent that, it's getting watered down now as more people move in and stuff like that. But that thick Boston accent, it's interesting how it came to be. And you'd have to watch tomorrow's video to find out about it. Now, a matter of fact, I'll tell you about it. So English traders back in the old days wanted to distinguish themselves from the common man and the basically blue collar people. So they started dropping R's in what they said, and they would use an H instead. Ka, pak, that type thing. So over the years, it mutated into how they speak in Boston, but that's where it came from. I think it's weird. Yeah, I would freak out if I was on a submarine. It's a little too tight for me. My dad used to work for Connecticut. Woo. Go down southern. Oh, I know that you got to be very creative with your space on a submarine. I do not think Lubbock, Texas. Ugh, I do not think Lubbock, Texas, is the worst city in Texas. Um, there's a couple other ones that would steal that. I was just talking to someone about them. I like Port. I don't like Port Arthur. That place ain't great. You also have Houston. If we're talking like whole areas, there's a couple other places that are way worse. I'm trying to think. There's one place in Texas I was looking at. Oh my God, is it? Where is that one? Give me a second here, guys. So I'm looking at this map one time, and it's down there by the docks and all that. And I started looking, and there's this little town surrounded by chemical plants. Oh, I guess it is. It's well, that's not the one I was thinking about, but Texas City looks pretty bad too. All right, let's get to some of the questions I had today. I asked got another super chat. Let's see what this one's about. Hey, Briggs, hope you're evening. Let's get that up. Let's put you up there. Thank you for supporting the channel, by the way. This one comes from Henry Ore. Hey, Briggs, hope your evening is going well. I'm going to visit Colorado in September for the first time from California. Can you talk about some of the things or places that you love about Denver, Colorado, da 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 da? Okay, so go see Gardens of the Gods. That's pretty good. It's just outside of Colorado Springs. There's a concert, one of the coolest places to see a concert is Red Rocks. Now, not only if you're visiting there, they might not have someone you like playing that weekend, but I guarantee it's worth it just to go to that stadium. It is the coolest stadium. And it's built right into the side of a hill. It's so cool. But that obviously, the Broncos are playing, things like that. Denver has a really, really good microbrew scene. So if that's your thing, I would look into it. They also have a lot of good food in Denver. But if I was going to spend any time in Colorado, I would head up into the hills and go see some of the nicer cities that are up there in the Rockies. It's beautiful land up there. And I know what you should do. There's a scenic railroad. I can't think of what it is right now that goes through the Rockies. There's the Amtrak, which you take someplace, but this one's just a tourist thing. I can't remember what it was. My friend Kendra went on it. Anyway, there's a scenic railroad. I'm sure if you type in scenic railroad Colorado, you'll be able to find it, but it takes you up into the Rockies. It's amazing. Thank you for supporting the channel. Yeah, Denver's not the best right now, so it's not terrible. Steve C's got a point. Maybe avoid downtown Denver. There's still a lot of cool things to do in Denver. Just beware where you're going. You're fine. Do I plan on making a video about states with the most natural disasters? I've kind of made that video already, and I don't think it did well. I plan on giving it another try. I just got to think of how I'm going to do it. I did this one probably 2 years ago. It was during the pandemic, middle of the pandemic, about the worst pandemics that have ever hit the United States. I thought it was going to do amazing. I thought it was going to be great because everyone's mind was on the pandemic. Pandemics all over the news. I do this video. I'm thinking it hits all the buttons. It's going to do great. Horrible. I was like, oh, to this day, I still don't know how this thing works. Bill Doris, thank you for supporting the channel. What site do you get your stock footage from? So there's a couple things I get stock footage from. But one of the biggest things I do, while you'll usually see a lot of video that looks like it's driving, I gave 5 GoPros to friends of mine that are truckers, and they film stuff for me all the time. And then, of course, I like to use a DJI action camera, or not action camera, Pocket 2. I use that a lot. That's where a lot of my footage comes from. But I do use Avato, and I pay a buttload for iStock. Thank you for supporting the channel. Really, that's how it is with every place. It's not just Birmingham, Alabama. Most major cities have a good amount of crime, and once you get into the suburbs, it's a lot nicer. Okay, so let me read some of these questions that we had today. Told people to write questions, so we're going to take a look at them. I bet these are going to go right on my face. I didn't space them properly. Let's try number 1. There it is. 2 questions. Are you going to do a video? This comes from our friend Dave. Diam. I don't even know how to pronounce your name. Damien. Anyway, he's in the chat right now. Are you going to do a video on why everyone is moving to Oklahoma City? What makes Oklahoma score much lower than the Great Plains? Oh, there's more, and I cut it out. I don't know what the rest of that was. But am I going to make a video about Oklahoma City? Why people are moving there? I kind of did. I kind of touched on it in a video about remote workers getting paid to move places. Oklahoma City is one of those places. I might do another one. I'm looking at retirement ones in Oklahoma City, and some of the suburbs will pop up. So that's probably the next mention you're going to hear from Oklahoma City. All right, that was the first one. Let's see what the second one is. Oh, here we go. Howler Monkey Joe. This guy's pretty interesting. Number 1, Howler Monkey Joe, if you're on here. You don't need to insult people when you're defending me. I'm a big boy. I think I can handle it. This guy's pretty sharp though when he says things, or at least his comments. I want to know when the podcast will be serious for you. Okay, yeah, it's something I wonder myself all the time. I'm not sniffing your throne. Thanks for not sniffing my throne. I appreciate that. I haven't heard that term in a while, but you have one of the best voices for explaining things to people. Thank you. When you talk, you instantly grab attention. It's what I'm going for. I have had people comment on your voice when they're watching in the. Okay, let's go back and find out what he said. In the break room. Oh no, in the break room. Yep. So thank you. The podcast is something that we're toying around with. I mean, it's kind of the future for things. With how do I explain this? If you're a theme park, you have roller coasters. Well, you also got to have a merry-go-round, and you also got to have some kiddie rides, and you also got to have some kind of water park type thing these days. A water park attached to it. Well, that's kind of how it is with YouTube nowadays. You got to have other things besides just the videos you do. You got to do shorts. You got to do podcasts. Well, I think podcasts are a major thing now. I don't think it's going to surpass the long-form video like I do, but it's something, if you want your channel to grow, you got to have a podcast. So it's something we're taking serious towards the second half of this year, which we're in the middle of, and hopefully we'll get more into it. But thanks for the question, Joe. I hope your name's Joe. It's Howler Monkey Joe. I hope that's right. All right, let's go to the next one. Number 3. Hey, Briggs, is that a flux capacitor? That is a flux capacitor from Back to the Future. It's right here. See? Flux capacitor. Remember that's the thing that goes in the DeLorean that helps them go back in time? Okay, damn it. You rock, Mr. Briggs. Thank you, Christina. Oh, I know Christian. Sorry, I know Christina Hannon. So instantly, I went with Christina when I saw the first part of that. Sorry. Oh, the nude bike ride is tonight. I did hear about that. That's an interesting time. Yeah, that's kind of tells you something. If everyone and their brother's doing one, you kind of got to do one. Hi, Briggs. Big fan of yours. I also live in Oregon. My wife and I live in Dallas. Oh, okay. We are considering a trip to Iceland. Nice, in July next year. Have you been there? I've not been there. It's something we plan on doing. Um, we're gonna. We wanted. There's a cruise we've been looking at that does the British Isles, but it also goes to Iceland. So we're thinking about doing that one. So yeah, we I am going to continue that. I'm actually typing some stuff up. I want to making an outline of some things. Maybe if we do this next Friday night, we'll go over that. I just had a lot going on lately. So this is the thing about the podcast. A lot of people don't get into podcasts, and I understand that. A lot of people don't get into shorts, and I understand that. There's actually some people nowadays that don't even watch the long form videos, like my normal videos. They only watch shorts. So you got to kind of just have your toes dipped in a lot of things if you want to have success or continued success. I don't want my channel to fizzle out because um, I'm the only one that doesn't have a podcast. I'm a big channel. I don't have a podcast. Next thing you know, all these smaller channels that do the same thing I do that also have podcasts, they just go past me. So that's what you got to work for. Oh, here we go. Hey, Briggs, ever coming out to uh, what New York? Let me know. Take it to Cooperstown baseball. I always get that one confused with so I like the nuclear family. I have my biological father who lives in the South, and then the father that raised me lived was from Olean, New York, which is southern. I don't know, southwest or something like that. But every time I see your town name, I think that is that the same one. Oh no, it's something else. Okay. Oh yeah, you're out there by you're in a small town, aren't you? You know, Dreg, sorry. Denzel, you said you were doing your stuff on your phone. Is my getting that right? Because I was going to send you a mic. Well, thank you for being addicted to my content. I appreciate that. Do I use AI tools? I do not. I have no. I should just rephrase that. I have toyed with them for titles for videos to see what kind of ideas they come up with. Um, but as far as writing the scripts, they don't sound like me. And I've seen people using AI to write their scripts, and it sounds too robotic. You're losing the humanity of your voice and what you're saying. So I won't do that. Just casual viewer, huh? I'm really into podcasts. Do you actually do one, or is it in the works? So I've done one. I've done like 10 episodes, and this was the idea for it. So I'm very talkative. When I go traveling, I always end up sitting down and talking to someone, and I just ask a couple questions. They tell me their life story. So on a couple occasions, I've written them down and I've recorded them. And then I have told their story. I honestly think that every single one of us out here probably has a more exciting story in their life than you're going to find in a movie or on a television show. And I think it's terribly interesting. I think there's all these stories about life and living in this country that we never hear because they're not in movies and stuff like that. One of my podcasts was very interesting about this guy who was raised by a single mom, and he was living in Chicago, and he was only like 14 when his mom passed away. I think maybe 16 because it was like 2 years. So he's like 16 when his mom passed away, and he didn't have any family, zero family. He was basically going into foster care, or he had to, live on the streets. Interesting thing though, the lady that was his apartment manager was the owner of the building, and she had tutored him and all these other things. And she told him, "You could stay here. Don't get in trouble, and you could stay here." He said, as long he in it, what he was telling me was, she said, if child services, show up, you're gonna have to deal with them, but I'm not gonna charge you rent. If you get a job, pay me some rent. So for 2 or 3 years, he lived there. She died when he was like 19. He ended up on the street. He had a part-time job. Um, Interesting fact about this: she had taught him two different languages. She'd known him since he was a little kid, and the mom would work night, and so she would just tutor him and keep him at her apartment. And she taught him two languages in life, and he was fluent, and I forget what they were. But he ended up on the streets when the older woman passed away, and he didn't know what he was going to do, and just totally lost. And he started hanging out with a group of homeless people and living in a car on the street. And this is back in the early 80s. And one of the people heard him speaking to someone. They're all, "How many languages do you speak?" And he's all, "Oh, I speak English and two other languages." They're all, "You should go down and take this job." Showed him a newspaper. The courts were looking for interpreters, and he didn't really have any skills. That was all he had. Now, this get to be a long story, so here we go, and I'll finish this up because I could ramble on about this guy forever. So he had gotten close to these people that were living on the streets and in their cars with him, the little community he was in. So he's all, "I don't even have a suit to go apply for this job, nothing done." So he kind of gave up on it. The next day, he had a suit. They went out and got him a suit, and he said, "So my first job interview was in a stolen suit. Someone stole it for me." And it was very, very interesting story. And I told that on the podcast. But anyway, I did some voiceover work in Chicago one time, and he was the guy, like my contact with the company. So he was like 60 at the time, I think 50. Interesting story. So there's just all these great stories out there, and that's what my podcast is all about. Tell us about the pig. I do have a pig. McMuffin. Showed this picture before, but here you go. This is when she got into glitter the other day. Oops. There she is. She got into glitter last week. Okay, sorry, I babbled on for a while there. How many people got? 147. Have you guys all hit the like button, by the way? This is weird. Oh, there it goes. Okay. My chat quit going for a while. I thought you guys so into my story, you quit typing. It's a great photo. She's a good girl. Here's my favorite thing, though. All right, I think we got a couple more questions here. Let's get to this one. Briggs, my question for tomorrow. In states to retire video, some states you mentioned didn't tax SSI. Does this also include, disability, Social Security disability? Yes, it all falls under the same thing. I did look up to see if there was any kind of distinction, or it was different. No, I couldn't find anything. If there is, I don't know about it, and I spent about 45 minutes researching that. Okay. Oh yeah, glitter. So they have a arts and crafts night, right? In different places. They'll always have it like the VFW, or small towns will have it at the dance hall if they still have a dance hall type place, or at the library. Well, a lot of these nights they have in they all have this thing, no glitter. It's like this faux pas if you bring glitter to a arts and crafts night at a library. Hello, Briggs. Could pick a town or city to live in Colorado? If I okay, sorry. If you could pick a town in Colorado to live, what would it be? Uh, you know, Obviously one of the best options, because I like it cold and I like the mountains and stuff like that. If I could afford Aspen or Vail or something like that, absolutely. I also like Breckenridge, which also again very expensive, but Glenwood Springs is probably where I'd like to live in that area around Glenwood Springs. I think it's pretty neat. Got a couple rivers going through there. The Amtrak comes through there. You got some hot springs, like a Glenwood Springs Athletic Club, which is pretty interesting. The train pulls right up next to that. Yeah, I'd live in Glenwood Springs. From Portland, but moved to Houston. Leadville. Let me see here. Does the first 2 to 5 seconds of Be Real footage you add in at the beginning of the videos help or weaken your audience retention? Um, I haven't noticed anything. Most boring city I've ever been to. Um, Wichita, Kansas. Absolutely most boring place I've ever been to. I live in Connecticut, but I've always wanted to maybe move to Illinois. Probably not Chicago, though. So here's the thing about Chicago. Chicago gets a bad rap. They do have more murders than any place else, but honestly, 80% of their crime is happening on the south side. If you stay out of the south side, you're probably in just as safe as any other decent city of the United States. You just got to stay away from the south side. There's a place called the Loop. Stay away from the Loop, or stay north of the Loop, and you're perfectly fine. The Loop is where you'll find all the big high rises and all that stuff that are, big skyscrapers. That's the Loop. And the reason they call it the Loop, I believe, is because the train, you can see that the train loops around it. I don't know if that's really why they call it that, but I someone told me that. Um, which I've never been able to narrow that down if that's why they call it the Loop. Anyway, doesn't matter. So the Loop is where the main part of the city is. Then you have like trying to think where it kind of got Chinatown, which is decent. When you start getting past the White Sox Stadium, which is, I don't know what it's called right now. Once you get south of that, it starts getting pretty sketchy. That's my opinion. And it gets really sketchy if you go way down there, past like Washington Park and the rail yards. That's when it starts getting sketchy. But Chicago ain't that bad. There's a lot of good places in Illinois to move to that, wouldn't be bad. Rockford is not great. I'd stay away from there. But they got some decent places. Nope, I missed one. 82nd Airborne sent me one. Let me see what we got here. 82nd Airborne, thank you for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. Hello, Briggs, 82nd Airborne Division. Around the same time you were in Fort Benning. 11B, light. Yep, there you go. Much respect. My good friend, peace and love. Thank you very much. Same to you. Yeah, 82nd. I've told you about that. How my son was afraid he was going to get 82nd Airborne. He didn't like your patch. He said it looked like a logo for a soda or something like that. Or not. I was like, okay. Um, but yeah, there's a question. I wish I had a bunch of military guys on here. Which division patch was the ugliest? Here's a good question. Do you still feel West Virginia is a good place to retire to someone who loves the outdoors? A solid pension, but single dad of a 6-year-old. Oh, okay. Um, West Virginia is, I think they hit rock bottom a few years back, and I think they're on the upswing. If you don't have to worry about a job, it's a great place to live because they don't have many jobs, but I think their crime has gone down considerably since they started putting effort into their addiction issues. With fentanyl popping up all over the place, who knows if that's going to stay the same? But I mean, they were hit bad by the opioid epidemic. So they don't have many jobs and they had some problems with opioids. And it was like 1-2 punch of that state. The good news is it made land and houses extremely affordable. Still a beautiful state. So you just got to know where you're going to move to in that state, and it's a great option, especially if you want to live on the cheap. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. The entire state. Third Marine Division. Oh, the Marines. Yeah, I don't know their patches. Let me see real quick. I'll look at all of them real quick. Yeah, they've had some ugly um, patches. I think 35th Infantry Division has the worst. 36 is pretty bad too. Anyway, so it wouldn't be interesting if I start showing those to you guys, but um, yeah, I like orange and black. That's the only reason I became a Beavers fan. Really, the only college football I watch is West Point. But I do watch the Beavers. I shouldn't say the only. That's the one I look forward to every week. Minnesota is a great place to retire. Um, Outside the cities, especially if outside the major cities like Minneapolis, St. Paul, get outside there. There's wonderful small cities and small towns that you could retire at, and it's relatively affordable. Oh, Paratrooper, thank you for supporting the channel. In case I didn't say that, here's a good one. 10 things California doesn't tax, but others do. I don't know. I think California is one of the ones that tax just about everything. I mean, like Washington doesn't have a state income tax. So that's really cool. Here in Oregon, we don't have a sales tax. Interesting story about that. You want to end your political career? Make a push to start make a sales tax in Oregon. I've noticed since I've been here in the 12 years I've been here, any politician that's come forward and said, "Well, we need to start having a sales tax. It's the only way we're going to get out of this debt." The next cycle, they lose their thing. So it's obvious the people don't want it. They need to figure out a new way to get money. Hi, Diego, Chicago. Oh, I did not know that. No idea about that one. I've never had student loans. I went in the army and they gave me student, or they paid for it. California does not tax student loans that are discharged. Interesting. No sales tax, Delaware. There's a few that don't have a sales tax, and I think that's great. People will come and spend more money. We get people from Washington all the time. They just come across the border to buy things like TVs and stuff like that, which helps the businesses in Oregon. They always say the smart people live in Vancouver and work in Portland. That is something we are working on towards the end of this month. I think we've done two, but they haven't been recorded yet. But here, let me get what I'm talking about. Do you have any videos coming out where American expats? See, where are they going? Is that what you're asking? We are working on some of those. We're gonna update the best places for expats to move to in retirement, things like that. We'll have some of those out. Well, how do you feel about? I have no idea. Didn't even know it was a thing. How many states have no toll road? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't get this one. When live stream down minutes, does it wind? Oh, sorry. Um, any part or skipping? No, not that I know of. I did not know that. Probably did. We get here in Portland. We have a lot of cars for the West Coast. It's in my pocket. We have a lot of cars for the West Coast come through Portland because it's a port city. Big ships can get down the river, and we're not close to the salt, so it's not eroding the cars. I like every place. A lot of times people will think I hate a town or something like that or a state or whatever because I make fun of it. Well, I don't hate anything. What I do hate is when you have a place like Louisiana that has had so many corrupt politicians over the years. Illinois is another one. And they've just had piss poor politicians that don't fix anything. And that's when I'm railing about something, that's normally what I'm talking about. I'm not focused on the people. People have very little to do with it. They all make one vote and hope it works out for them. But it's the politicians. Who's running this freaking state that you've had been leading the country in poverty for 80 years? How does that happen? Mississippi, Louisiana. That's when I get irritated. That a politician's main freaking job is to help the people of his sector, his state, whatever. And they don't. And they continue not to. It just That's what I get irritated about. That's what I hate about places. What are my thoughts about retiring in Eastern Washington? It's not a bad place to retire. If you're going to go to Spokane, I'd actually rather go to Moscow, which is right across the border in Idaho. Whew, sorry. Ooh. Do you have much of a foreign audience since a lot of your content is about the United States? So, I don't have much from other countries. Most of it is going to be it's going to be the United States is like 75% of my audience. Canada is like 10%. The UK is like 10%, and then everyone else is 5%. Actually, I should arrange that. Mexico, I get a lot of views from Mexico. But yeah, I mean, I don't even get views from anywhere in Africa, South Africa or Egypt or anything like that. I don't get any views from the Middle East. Middle East, Middle East. I can't even speak tonight. Um, so that's why a lot of times, if I don't have that audience, I mean, some of you might be interested in it, but if a video is going to be good, it's got to be about places that a lot of the viewers are from. And so I don't know much about the Middle East and I don't really focus on it. So you won't catch me doing videos about the Middle East or Africa either. Yeah, I'm actually talking to a guy. I want to start we're gonna test it for a couple weeks, see if I get views. But he's gonna translate. He's gonna do the voiceover in Spanish to some of my older videos. We're gonna put them up and see how they work. I bet that jumps out of bed. Olympia. All right, I had one more question here. Let's get to that one. I think I had one more. Is this the last one? Help me get out of Virginia. Low income, living in a van. Wow. Looking for a small town to homestead in. So, we have a video that's recorded, has to be edited about homesteading and van life, stuff like that. Um, that'll be out middle of September. So hold on for that. I couldn't quote anything off the top of my head, but I think that's exactly what you're looking for. So wait till I think the 12th of September it's supposed to be, something like that. Let me see. I don't want to do that. Just let me show me the days. All right, here we go. My 10th, 11th, 13th. So it'll be the 13th. Wednesday the 13th, I believe that video is coming out. If nothing. Now, I say that sometimes, and sometimes things change. Like, I'm not going to do it because it's a disaster, but let's say something starts happening in Atlanta, and I have a Atlanta video I've been working on that's not supposed to go up till October. Well, if something's going on in Atlanta, that means more people are going to be searching for that, so I'm going to release that movie then, and that pushes things back. So if I've ever told you a video is going to come out, um, and it doesn't, something happened. Like, perfect example, the California retirement one I did on Friday didn't do that good. I was supposed to release a Saturday one on Arizona, but since Fridays didn't do that good, I'm going to put it off. I'm not going to back it up. I'm going to wait a couple days before I try that one again. So there's that. But yeah, that one should be out the 12th or 13th. Yeah, 13th of September. Why consult a travel agent? Because I can't get you those deals. I have gotten really good at getting around this country, though. I mean, I used to drive a lot, do road trips all the time. I kind of got away from it, got tired of it. So I have this habit. I want to look out the window and see things I've never seen before, and then I almost crash. So, and I hate it when people drive me. So I get on the train. That's what I do a lot, so I can stare out the window. Isn't that weird? But yeah, I've learned different ways to get around, and I know what cities to go to, so I don't have to have a bunch of layovers. Matt Foley. Well, I don't know if we're friends. We know each other from YouTube, but Alyssa Vanilla. She lives in her van. She's that girl's nothing but personality. Um, she's interesting. I watch her all the time, and I just laugh. Tried walking out. Felt nice. I do not have much of an audience from Asia at all. Philippines. That's about it, and they're like. Matter of fact, I can look real quick. Analytics, my audience. Where is it? Where's I'm looking for? Oh, here we go. Okay, so here's oh wow. Okay, so 85.7% is from the United States. 2.7% is from Canada. The UK is 1.9. India is 1.5. The Philippines is 1%. So yeah, and then it goes way down from there. So as an example, last month in the United States, I got 4,800,000 views. From Canada, I got 160,000. The UK, I got 90,000. India, I got 86,000. Um, there's a serious drop off. I got 44,000 from the, no, I'm sorry, 54,000 from the Philippines. Australia, 40,000. And Germany, 27,000. And I said some horrible things about them one time. And I'm sure most of the people that watched just, you know, said something mean to me. How's so I don't get here. 1 second. How is Astoria, Oregon? It sucks. It's boring. I don't know. Everyone's like, oh, I want to go up to Astoria. I want to go up to Astoria. I've been to Astoria like 3 times. Each time, why am I here? I don't know. I don't get it. Maybe I'm missing something. Wonder Hussy? No, but I love the name. Wonder Hussy. I got to check that out real quick. Wonder Hussy. There she is. What's her real name? Wonder Hussy. Why does she look familiar? Everything you wanted to know about Wonder Hussy, but we're too afraid to ask. Let's see. What does Wonder Hussy got going on here? Wonder Hussy has 250,000 subscribers or thereabouts. 45,000 actually. Grizzly Country. She's a traveling chick. Does she live in her van? Huh, okay, I got to check her out later on. She lives in Death Valley. Wow. Better her than me. See, the downside of doing this one, anything to do with cannabis or legalization, even though it's legal and all that, the video instantly gets demonetized. I did a video about conspiracies. Interesting story about that. One of the main factors for why that became illegal back in the 1940s were whatever. The politicians that signed on to outlaw hemp and all this stuff, they were all backed by Dow Chemicals, I believe it was Dow Chemicals, and they were worried hemp would destroy a new product they had coming out called polyester. So hemp, and they just kind of all bound it together and tried to put a kibosh on the whole industry by outlawing it. How come I don't do top 10 worst states to live in videos anymore? It's been 2 years since you did those. I've done those. Or I mean, I know I've done them. I haven't done them in 2 years. That's weird. Worst states to live in. Huh. Maybe it's about time to redo those. Those were successful. All right, Denzel, you have a good night, buddy. How can you buy one of my shirts? You go down underneath all my videos. They have it, the picture of them. I started mentioning my shirts in my videos, and a bunch of people started buying them again. You know when they buy the most of? Being offended is not a skill. All right, yeah, actually, it's been an hour. I'm gonna wind this down myself. Let me see, get a couple more of these in though. I love what you do, and I am a subscriber. Do you ever take assistants who can gather information for your podcast? I have two researchers for me right now. One just had a baby. She just got home from the hospital, by the way. She had a baby Thursday or Wednesday, something like that. Amy, have a good night. Probably will do it again next year, early next year. I try and do that once a year, and it's usually towards the beginning, usually around March. Yeah, I don't get a story of myself. I never understood that one. People go there all the time. They get all excited. I'm like, I don't get it. Yeah, that's so. The reason that came about is people just these days I people just complain about everything, and it's not a political thing. I know everyone's called liberals snowflakes, but as an example, go back and I forget what video it was, but I said, if you're on social media, and I said Facebook, I said YouTube, Snapchat, and I left out Twitter on purpose and added Threads, which Threads had only been out a couple days. Oh my God, so many people are complaining about me doing that. And I did it on purpose. I knew I'd get a reaction, and they acted like total snowflakes. And it just goes to show you everyone wants to call someone else a snowflake or something like that, or they complain. But then when it's something you don't agree with, you're complaining and crying about. It's weird. Anyway, that's another story. That's a long story. But when I first started this, everyone was complaining about everything that I said. And it's like they're totally offended. And that's how they'd start off. I'm offended that you would say that about, you know, Moose Knuckle, Arkansas. I'm like, okay, you're offended. What am I supposed to do with that? It's like, you've lost all credibility. Okay, how will I sleep tonight? It's like, what the hell? You lost all credibility. That's the dumbest thing in the world to say to someone. I did one about holidays a couple times. They've never done well, and I always think they will because I always try them. I don't know. I got to do one of those Christmas towns, the best Christmas towns. Some of these towns just go off on Christmas. That's what I got to do. The Autistic Professor, thank you for supporting the channel. Where'd that go? There it is. Autistic Professor, love the channel. Longtime viewer here. Thank you very much, sir. I almost called you the Artistic Professor. My wife used to work with the autistic kids at the school down in California. It was great. They had this one kid. So when the kids are, I'm not an expert on this, but sometimes the autistic kids, they just have um, this memory that they can remember things. What do they call that? Photographic memory. So there was this one little boy who, whatever movie came out or whatever, he'd watch it like once or twice during the weekend. And then he'd come to school and they'd all sit around and he would act out all the parts and he wouldn't miss any of it. He would do characters and all this stuff, and he would use all the same script and everything from his memory. It was amazing. Pornographic memory. There you go. Pornographic memory. Where do I live now? I live outside of Portland, Oregon. Oh, there we go. Another one. TG360 and beyond, thank you for supporting the channel. I could listen to you more than an hour. Thanks. Well, thank you very much. I always think about trying to, I know some people do these things where they try and go 12 hours of live streaming. I can't do 12 hours of live streaming. I'd go insane and start telling you things. I'd run out of things to talk about and start talking about things I shouldn't be talking about. That's always fun. Cut and Shoot, Texas is a real place, by the way. Your face got all red. It did? I think it's my lighting. One of my lights went out. And this is bad lighting tonight. I look a little pink. You know, back a couple years ago, we did a couple 2.5 hour ones. Nice and comfy here, very little humidity, so you can handle the warm temps. Love the cool nights sitting in the deck, getting da 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 da. Nice. Autistic professor. Thank you again for supporting the channel. Yes, Lady Professor here. Nice. Also, oh, you are. I did not know that. Love Ancestry, Disney. Obsessively looking at Zillow and World of Briggs. I look at Zillow way too much too. I was hoping to win the lottery the other day when it was like $1 billion. I want to buy 3 houses on Lake Oswego. Lake Oswego here in the Portland area is where, people that make millions of dollars a year live. Thank you for your videos. Looking to move to the USA in the future. I'm starting to investigate about false. This channel is online American. Oh, nice, good. I'm glad people are recommending me. If you ever feel like helping me out on this channel, share my videos. I'd love that. Actually, what's really these days, what's really getting YouTube excited is if at the end of one of my videos, the suggested ones, if you click on another one of those, that's like gold. It used to be how many comments do you get? How many likes? Those are still important, but what they've really focused on is, do you watch another one of my videos after one? Okay, I've had this one before. Briggs, how come you have the word world in your channel name and 95% of your videos are in the United States? Because I wanted. It's what I wanted to put as my channel name. It's just that simple. I liked World According to Garp, the book, so named it World According to Briggs. Sometimes chained view. That's good. Who's my favorite comedian? There's a few. The late Robert Schimmel, one of my favorite comedians of all time. But Dave Attell. Dave Attell is a little dirty and extra weird, just the way I like my comedy. Nice. Thank you. Yeah, there's one. There you go. Stephen Wright. Stephen Wright's genius. He's extra weird too. Love some of his jokes. I went into a breakfast place. They said hotcakes anytime. Or no, he said it said breakfast anytime. So he said, I'd like some hotcakes from the 17th century. Oh, Insomniac was great too. I bought the DVD back before everything was online, but I bought the DVD of the bloopers and the outtakes of that. And there's this drunk lady. He's in New Orleans, and he's talking to the camera like this. This drunk lady comes from a little bit behind him and walking up to him and starts getting the camera, and he just shoves her and keeps talking. Well, in the distance, you see her, trying to recover from being shoved, and finally she lands on her back, and one of her shoes just goes flying in the air. Great scene. He kept talking. All right, guys, I'm gonna wind it down now. That was about an hour, hour and 15 minutes almost. I appreciate you hanging out with me. We'll do this again next Saturday. Um, I'm not going on any cruises for a while. I got some other things we're going to be doing soon for the Sweet Life with Briggs channel, Sweet Life for Briggs, uh, the hotels and resort thing type things. But I appreciate you hanging out with me. Thank you for everyone for supporting the channel. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you guys. Everyone have a great day. Be nice to each other.